Oh my goodness. Hey everybody, welcome to the J&J Sports Express for week 18 of the NFL season. It's the last weekend of regular football before the playoffs. I'm your co-host Jeff Cadillac. As usual, my co-host is J.B. Ellis. J.B., how are you and happy New Year to you?
Happy New Year. First week of the year doing this. Last week of the NFL season. A lot of good stuff coming up.
Oh yeah, some good games, some teams still in play. And, I'll tell you something. It's always exciting when we do the games. That's a definite right there. But
For
let's get
sure.
to the schedule. The first game that we're looking at is the Bengals -1.5 on Saturday at the Steelers. Who you like, JB, and why?
It's going to be a good game. The Steelers are coming in losing the last three. They're up and down, left and right. Jamar Chase. We'll throw to T. Higgins every once in a while. I'm going to go with the better coach on this, Mike Tomlin. It's going to be a good game. It's always a great battle when you get the NFC, I was saying the AFC North going at it. But I like the Steelers here.
Wow. I have to disagree with you on this one. I think the Bengals are the team right now. Joe Burrow's on fire. And, you can't stop him too much lately. It's just ridiculous the way he's been playing. He's throwing the ball extremely well. The problem with the Bengals is the defense. The defense gives me worries at night. Not sleepless nights, but just some worries because they can't stop anybody. And I see this game possibly being a shootout. Russell Wilson has looked terrible in the last three games, without a doubt. He's one of the reasons, if not the main reason, why the Steelers have lost in the last three games. They lost against Philly, which was bad because Najee Harris had dropped that ball, that handoff, and the momentum went the other way, and Philly scored the touchdown. Then in the other game, you had Russell Wilson was just a one-man wrecking crew. He should have wore a Baltimore uniform in the game against Baltimore, and Baltimore won that game nicely. Then last week on Christmas Day against Kansas City, Russell Wilson still not playing the game that he should be playing. I mean, this guy, good thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers are only paying him $1 million, because if they were paying him $40 million, which he's getting this year, 39 from Denver, I'll tell you something, they're not getting their money's worth, because he really, in the clutch situation in the last three games, when the Pittsburgh Steelers could have put this division away, he's faltered. He has not looked the way he should. The Steelers, both these teams have something to play for. Bengals definitely are looking to get in. Steelers are looking to play for position. So we'll see what happens. But I like the Bengals -1.5. I think they're more motivated, and I think they beat the Steelers by, say, 3.
Interesting. So our second game, which is always a fun one in the NFC East, the Commanders against the Cowboys. And I can tell you this much, in Washington, they hate the Cowboys. I was there years ago when they happened to be playing, and there was a guy on the street selling a T-shirt. F the Cowboys. Obviously used the word there, but, and they weren't even playing the Cowboys when I was there. So they seem to have the Cowboys on their minds. And, this week, I kind of like the Cowboys. They're playing some interesting football lately. They're not going anywhere. Their season's done, but you know what? What better thing to do to end the season than to beat your division rival, the Washington Commanders, who everyone's been high on all year. Everyone loves what Jaden Daniels has done in D.C. He's had a great rookie year. One of the two choices for rookie of the year between him and Bo Nix right now. But the Cowboys, they're playing for pride. And, they're not a team that gives up. Nothing Jerry Jones would love more than to stick it to the Commanders. The Commanders aren't playing for anything right now either. They're kind of locked in where they're going to be. I don't know. The way I look at it, I can see the Cowboys taking this game.
Well, I have to agree with you for different reasons. I like the Cowboys in this game at home, getting 3 points. The Commanders basically last week, they had to go to overtime to beat a rookie quarterback who has only played 2 games in the NFL. That, to me, is a problem. The defense for Washington gets lax. They disappear. Washington hasn't beat anybody really this season. They beat a lot of bad teams, and they've lost to a lot of good teams. The only reason they beat Philly couple of weeks ago is because Jalen Hurts got hurt and was taken out of the game. Otherwise, Philly wins that game big time. Washington, they're a team that's young. They'll be back. They need to learn how to win because they need to beat good teams. If you look at their record, which I don't have in front of me, they haven't beat anybody that's been really good. And that's a problem because when you get to the playoffs, everybody's good. So Washington right now, they're in a battle with Green Bay for the 6 and 7 seed. If they win here, they'll be locked in at the 6th seed. If they lose and Green Bay wins, they'll be at the 7th seed. Cowboys, like you said, have nothing to lose. Their season's been decided. And they're coming off a big blowout loss, and they'd like to go out with a win at home. I like Rico Dowdle. Unfortunately, CeeDee Lamb won't be playing, but that's okay because Cooper Rush is a pretty decent quarterback as a backup. But you know what? He's played a lot of games, and it might be time for him. He may be looking for greener pastures after the season. But I'll tell you this: what wouldn't Jerry Jones love to do is beat the Commanders in the last game of the season at AT&T Stadium. So I got to agree with you on this one. Cowboys off the bounce back. Commanders kind of playing it easy because they already know they're in the playoffs. I like the Cowboys +3, winning this game by at least a touchdown. Don't hear you.
Why wouldn't you hear me?
That's now I hear you. Go ahead. Saints versus Bucks. The Bucks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are -13.5. I'll start it off. First of all, the Saints, their season has been over for a long time. They have no quarterback. Spencer Rattler, he's a third stringer at best. They don't even have Taysom Hill. Alvin Kamara is probably out for this game. You got a ton of people that are out for this game for New Orleans. They have no reason to even play this game. But the Bucks have something to play for. And that's the reason why I picked this game or looked at this game as being a possible, game to talk about. Because the Bucks last week, okay, they beat up on Carolina 48-14. The week before they lost at Dallas. Bucks are an up and down kind of team. They beat Detroit during the season. They beat Philly, but then they lose to Atlanta. And they lose certain games. You start scratching your head as to what's going on. I mean, after they beat the Chargers, they go to Dallas and they lose against Dallas. This is a game that they have to take control of. And they're also going to be trying to get Mike Evans his 1,000 yards. So they're going to be targeting him. He's going to have another big day. The Saints are just terrible. Their defense is terrible. There's a lot of holes on that team. Who knows if Reezy is going to be the coach next year. Derek Carr, he injured his hand. He's definitely not playing. I mean, why would you want to play him anyway? The Bucks have a very good defense, and they, all of a sudden they got a running game. And the last time these two teams played, the Bucks scored 51 points on the Saints earlier in the season. It was like just a runaway after the first half. In the second half, the Bucks had scored 27 points, while the Saints scored nothing at the Superdome. But I love the Bucks in a runaway game here. I see this game maybe being 40-3, 40-10. It has blowout written all over it. Baker Mayfield adds to the stats. Mike Evans gets his 1,000 yards, and the Bucks make it to the playoffs. They need this game. They have to win outright to make the playoffs.
So, with all that being said, the Bucks are going to be playing a little tight. Baker's going to have pressure on them. They blew out this team last time by a bunch of points. Like you said, they scored 51. They kept them scoreless in the second half. The Saints have pride. They may not be a good team, but they're an NFL team. There are a lot of them out there. I mean, for example, look at what the Giants did to Indianapolis last week. Giants are a bad team. Indianapolis had a shot to make the playoffs.
Yeah, but Indianapolis isn't that great either. Believe me, their defense gives up a lot against the run. Sorry to interrupt.
It's all right. The Bucks aren't that great either, though. We're not talking about. It's a very similar situation. The Bucks are maybe a little bit better than Indianapolis. They have a quarterback who's rescued his career in Tampa Bay. That's for sure. Baker is a gunslinger. He'll make some mistakes. 13.5 points is a lot of points to give up with a quarterback that throws the ball all over the field to his jerseys, the other jerseys. Yes, their running game is nice. I like Bucky Irving, and I like Rashad White. I like the combination. Love the Mike Evans, But Baker, he just throws the ball. But he got the mentality where he's just going to throw it either way. Um, I don't think the Saints have a chance at winning, but I could see getting, a 10-point victory, and with that you cover with the Saints. But I don't think it's going to be a very competitive or fun game to watch. I don't think you're ever going to feel that the Saints have a chance to win. But if you take in 13.5 points, you'll have a shot to win the bet. Saints are ready for next year. There's a lot of things that need to be done down there. Do they stay with Derek Carr, who was hurt most of the year, and when he played, he wasn't that good? Kamara, not a great year by him either. They have a lot of things, a lot of holes in New Orleans. But when it's all said and done, they're still pros. They're going to show up to play a game. Again, I'm not saying Tampa's going to win because Tampa's going to lose, because that's not going to happen. But I don't see 2 touchdowns. Baker will do something somewhere that'll make it a close game. But they'll win, and they'll win the division. So this one intrigues me. Tell me about this.
All right. The reason why I like this game is, first of all, we all know that Pat Mahomes is going to be rested. And there's going to be starters on Kansas City that are going to be rested. But I'll tell you this. I like Carson Wentz. I don't really like him too much, but as a quarterback, he in spot plays, he plays well. And he knows to stay in the NFL, he has to show something. This will be his first start this season. Denver needs this game. Denver, without a doubt, has to win this game, or there's a possibility that they don't even make the playoffs. So they have to win this game. Will they win this game? I don't know. I really don't know. The Chiefs, they have nothing to play for. But you think they really want to lose? Carson Wentz last year had played with the Rams, and the Rams in San Francisco had nothing to play for. And San Francisco was actually winning that game, and Carson Wentz came back and won the game for the Rams. So, you're saying to yourself, why look at this game? Denver needs the game, but I think Denver wins by like 3 or maybe 7. They don't blow out the Chiefs. The Chiefs never get blown out. I don't care if you put a Pee-wee team in the Chiefs uniforms and you put them on the field. They still would not get blown out. That's the mentality. Spagnuolo is going to definitely try, because the Broncos are still a good team. They're not a great team, and they have few things that they need. They only have one really good cornerback. So what a quarterback wants to do is throw away from that cornerback. So Denver definitely needs this game. The spread, I think, is really high. I like the Chiefs plus the points in this game. I think they give a battle because there's guys on the team. Again, you got backups. They're always looking for jobs. If a backup plays well in a situation, they keep him around because they know he's reliable. God forbid somebody goes down. So I like the Chiefs plus 11 in this game.
You're 100% right. Carson Wentz wants to be a starter in the NFL. Granted, I wouldn't want him to be a starter of my team, but he wants to be. And he has a chance to showcase what he can do in a meaningful game to the Broncos. It's not meaningful for the Chiefs, but it's meaningful for Carson Wentz and for the Broncos. And all the Chiefs backups, the same thing holds true. They all want to be starters. They all want to be the guy. And you know what? You don't get many opportunities in the NFL where you just get thrown in and say, here, just let's see what you can do. 11 points by the Broncos. Their offense hasn't looked that good. The Chiefs have enough guys that are playmakers that can make plays to keep it within 11. I actually think the Chiefs run an upset through Carson Wentz. So
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And not only that, the Broncos defense has looked pretty bad in the last few weeks. They've given up a lot of points and a lot of situations where they made stops at the beginning of the season. They have not made stops. And the game that they played against Indianapolis in the last 4 games, Indianapolis basically beat themselves. That was not a game where Denver beat Indianapolis. Indianapolis, Jonathan Taylor had that drop ball at the goal line. They had that crazy interception on a lateral. Indianapolis beat themselves. So, Denver, they are nervous because all that, Bo Nix, hey, he's playing well. First season, he's played a lot of college games. He has a lot of experience. Will they challenge the Chiefs down the road? Maybe. Who knows? But right now, the Chiefs are the team to beat. And I like I said earlier, I like Carson Wentz in this game. I think they get the upset. I really think. And if the Broncos do win, it'll be by maybe a field goal.
Yeah, like I said, I'm with you on that. It's an important game for Wentz. It's not an important game for the Chiefs at all, but when you're the backup quarterback who was drafted as a starter, you were supposed to be one of the guys in the league, and you got demoted in Philly, then you got demoted again in Indianapolis, and you became a backup. You want to get your job back. You want to be the guy. So he's going to go out there and try and do whatever he can. The Chiefs have a plethora of guys at running back that want to be the guy. So there's going to be somebody playing that wants to show up and make a big play. Receivers, they have a couple of B-list guys that are going to be wanting to make, show people that they can play. Their defense, which has done really well, their backups that may be playing, they want to show that they can start for somebody. All these guys want to get that position. Now, the Broncos, on the other hand, like I said, there's a thing about learning to win. You don't just become a Super Bowl champion your first year. It doesn't happen. There's progression. Look at the Lions. They had that year where they ran off all those games at the end of the year. Then the next year they made a playoff run. And now this year they're playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC. You build to it. The Broncos are building to it. Bo Nix first year, a lot of young talent. But, this is not an easy game just to say they're going to go out there and win. If they win, it's not going to be by 11. I don't see it. That's a lot of points, and, head coach-wise, Andy Reid over Sean Payton any day of the week. Andy Reid's still going to have a game plan. Nobody in the NFL ever wants to lose. There's nobody that says, the game doesn't matter, we want to lose. They're still trying to win even with backups. So Andy Reid will find a way to keep it competitive. 11 points, the only time I see the Broncos, to me, show that they're capable of destroying a team was against Carolina. And that was right before Carolina started on their run where they were playing well. I don't see them beating anybody by 11, not even the backups of the Chiefs. But we have the game of the week to talk about.
Oh, yeah. This is without a doubt the highlight of the weekend. It's for all the marbles, folks. It's all the marbles here. The winner gets the number 1 seed in the NFC. The loser drops down to number 5. JB, I'll let you take it on first.
So, you look at a game like this and, the Lions, who last week probably played a weird game where they were down to San Francisco for a while, all of a sudden came back and took the lead and basically had a fight to the end against the San Francisco team that's playing for nothing at this point with all their injuries and everything. And the Lions found a way to win. You go back a couple of years, and we just spoke about it with Denver. Teams find ways and learn how to win. To me, that's a win that shows me that they've learned how to win. Now, there's still things that scare me about Detroit. You've still got Dan Campbell on the sidelines, and he does a lot of things that I question. I like to do things a little unorthodox. I go by feel if you think your team's going to get it. But you can't always feel your team's going to get it. That's not feel. That's just, I'm going to do it my way, and I don't care what anybody says. Goff is, he's shown that the Rams made, in my opinion, a mistake getting rid of him. He shows he's capable of winning. They're playing at home, which is huge because he plays better at home. They have Gibbs at running back, St. Brown, Laporta. They have a nice offense. It's just everything clicks and meshes well. And they have pieces that come in and complement each other. The defense, they're good. They were better before Hutchinson got hurt, some other injuries, but they've played good enough to win games. And right now, and you look at the two teams, who would you rather have start for you in a game you had to win? Would you rather have Jared Goff at home or Sam Darnold on the road? Now, Minnesota's got a lot of great pieces too. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Addison. Jones at running back. You know, good tight end Hawkinson, who I'm sure would love to pay back his old team and get a win here and steal the number one seed. But I just don't think that they have the talent to. I don't think they're the better team when it's all said and done. These are both teams that are done well. You know, Minnesota, no one expected them to be here. If you were a Minnesota Viking fan before opening kickoff and someone told you you're going to be playing for the number one seed in the NFC on the last night of the season, you'd be thrilled. And if I told you we're going to lose against the number 5 seed, you'd say, that's fine. We made the playoffs. We're not even supposed to be good. But, I mean, this team could lose this game, which I think they're going to. And I think they still have a chance to make a run in the playoffs and come back and play Detroit later on. But I don't see them beating the Lions.
Well, I got to tell you something. I kind of disagree with you on this one. I like Minnesota in this game for the reason that Detroit has a lot of injuries in their secondary and on their defense. And that is a problem for me. I like Kevin O'Connell. He's straightforward. Sam Darnold, I mean, it just shows what good coaching and a better team can do for a quarterback. He's got a great offensive line. He steps up in the pocket. He's not afraid to throw that ball. Don't try to thread the needle like you did at the end towards Green Bay and try to get, a little cute, because that's how you lose games. But he's playing well. He's not turning the ball over. He's having a career year. He's got a good team around him. He's got a good coach. And I'll tell you something, Minnesota, they're tough. They're tough. They're a very tough team. Who would think that two teams like this would be playing for the number one seed? It's, at the beginning of the season, a 14-win team is going to be seed number 5. It's unbelievable. Detroit, you got to give them their, kudos. I mean, look at the team. They've won. They've done what they had to do. They've only lost 2 games, one to Tampa, the other one to Buffalo. And Goff has definitely turned it around. Dan Campbell, great coach. You got to say, hey, this guy really knows what he's doing. And, the first game, these guys, the teams met a couple of, earlier in the season, and Detroit won by 2 points. So I think this game really goes down to the wire. I think it's a 3-point game. It could be a shootout. Minnesota's got a great run defense. They're number 2 in the league against the run. Detroit, great offense. Can't deny them. They love to spread that ball around. Goff doesn't fall in love with any one receiver. He looks over. He's learned so much under Dan Campbell. It's incredible. I mean, you got 2 very good teams. The only thing I'm really worried about is the defense for Detroit. I really feel that with all the injuries that they have, they might not be able to keep up with the Minnesota offense. The Minnesota offense has a lot of weapons, and Sam Darnold also doesn't fall in love with one receiver. He's been able to look over that whole set, the whole defense, and say, all right, this is what's coming. I know what to do. I know, call an audible and move on. But definitely this is the game of the season. This is really the game of the season. And I really like Minnesota here with the points. I think, if the Lions win, it's by a field goal. I don't really see it being a blowout by either team. I'd be shocked if it was a blowout by either team. But I like the Vikings here, +3 at Detroit.
I mean, if you look at their schedule real quick, the Vikings have they both have 2 losses. The Vikings' 2 losses were to the Lions week 7 and the Rams week 8. The Lions' loss was a 2-point loss. The Rams' loss was a 10-point loss. And that was the game with the controversial call that was missed with the face mask in the end zone. The Lions' 2 losses were to Tampa early in the year. What was it? Week
Buffalo.
2, 20-16, and then they lost to Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, 48-42. So both of these 2 teams have done a hell of a job to get here, both being 14-2. It sucks that one of these teams is going to lose and have to be a wild card. And not even get a home when they got a home game. Let's see, what is it?
Not the number 5 seed will be on the road, but they're going to be playing on the road, and the number 1 seed's got next week off.
Yep. So I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that whoever loses this game has to go on the road in the playoffs with 3 losses. What a job by the NFC North with those 3 teams: the Packers, Vikings, and Lions. Gotta say, really good year for that division. So where can people find you?
Well, one game I want to talk about just as a bonus is the Miami at the Jets. I know you're thinking to yourself, who cares about the Jets? And the Jets are 2.5-point dog at home. Miami needs this game. Tyler Huntley is probably playing as quarterback in, place at Tua. But it's probably the last game we're going to see of Aaron Rodgers. And that's one of the reasons why. I mean, if you've watched the Jets at all this season, folks, you've seen the decline of a great quarterback. His skills have definitely deteriorated to the point that he's worse, believe it or not, than some backups in the NFL. And the only thing that's keeping him around is his ego. And if he has any sort of self-respect, he'll leave, not play anymore, because the skill set for Aaron Rodgers has definitely deteriorated to a point. Father Time is undefeated, and it's hit Aaron Rodgers pretty hard. And the thing is that if you saw him in the Buffalo game, he made mistake after mistake that the vintage Aaron Rodgers, even 5 years ago, would have never made. And he would have ran for those first downs on third down or whatever, but he's not the same guy. And Miami's going to blow out the Jets because most of the team is already packed it in. And Jets are going to go through some serious changes in the offseason, hopefully for the positive. But that's one game I definitely wanted to speak about before we signed off.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that game, Miami without Tua is basically the Giants. They're not a good team. The Jets are just that bad, but the Jets still have pride. They may not, be a good team, but their defense has pride. I don't see Miami scoring many points. The problem is leading the Jets is Aaron Rodgers, and he hasn't been good in about 4 years. So I mean, I think Miami wins the game, but it's going to be like a 9-3 game or 9-6 game because both those teams are just not good.
Mm-hmm. So where can we find you, JB?
JB _ the program on X, Sideline Sports, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. And we'll be here during the playoffs as well next week. Make sure you're ready.
Yep. Next week's, I'm looking forward to it. You can find me, jeffcadillac.com. I already have all the games posted on my website for this week. So take a gander, take a look. There's one game that something could change. If Pittsburgh wins on Saturday night, I'll have to revisit the game of the Chargers at Vegas because the scenario will change and things do change in that game. You can find me here always with JB throughout the season on Twitter at the J&J Sports Express and on Twitter for my best bet on Fridays for each week. It'll be posted tomorrow morning.
All right, guys. We will see you next week. Be good. Enjoy the games.
Enjoy.